You know when coworkers see you eating the same lunch again and they say, "Don't you get bored of that?" And you're like, "No, actually." Because while they just spent 20 minutes deciding between Thai and Mexican, you spent those 20 minutes doing actual work. Welcome. You're not afraid of variety. You eliminated a problem. And people think that's boring? It's the opposite. It's one of the smartest things you do all week. If you've ever eaten the exact same lunch for weeks, months, or even years, and people look at you like you've given up on life, this one's for you. Because eating the same thing every day isn't about being boring. It's about being strategic. And we need to talk about why the person with the meal prepped containers gets judged while the person with the 5 a.m. routine gets celebrated. Both are optimization. Only one gets called disciplined. Quick note before we dive in. This isn't about eating lunch alone. We already covered that in a different video. This is about people who eat the exact same food every day. Also, this video is for educational purposes only. If you're struggling with disordered eating, food-related anxiety, or health issues related to your diet, please reach out to a qualified medical or nutritional professional. This isn't a substitute for professional advice. Just some psychology that might help you understand yourself better. All right, let's get into it. Here's what nobody tells you about people who eat the same lunch every day. They call you boring, but you're actually efficient. They say you lack creativity, when really you just eliminated a problem. They think you're stuck, but you actually found what works and stopped wasting energy searching for something better. Because here's the thing most people don't understand. You're not eating for entertainment, you're eating for function. Lunch isn't an experience you're trying to optimize, it's fuel. And once you found fuel that works, you stopped spending mental energy on a question that doesn't actually matter. So let's talk about why your turkey sandwich every day isn't boring. It's one of the smartest decisions you make all week. Here's the thing, you're satisficing, and that's not settling, it's optimal. There's a concept in psychology called satisficing, coined by Herbert Simon, a Nobel Prize-winning economist. It means choosing something that's good enough rather than endlessly searching for the perfect option. And it's not lazy, it's strategic. Because here's what most people do. They maximize. They spend 20 minutes scrolling through food delivery apps, reading reviews, comparing prices, trying to find the perfect lunch. And by the time they decide, they've burned mental energy, wasted time, and still end up with something they're not even sure about. You skip that entire process. You know turkey sandwich works. It's satisfying, it's reliable, and it doesn't make you feel sluggish in the afternoon. So you eat it every day and move on. According to research on decision-making, satisficers are generally happier than maximizers. Maximizers spend more time deliberating, experience more regret, and report lower satisfaction even when they get a better outcome. Translation? The person who spent 20 minutes finding the perfect lunch isn't actually happier with their meal than you are with your turkey sandwich. They just spent more energy getting there. You're not settling for less, you're choosing good enough so you can focus on things that actually matter. Your lunch doesn't need to be perfect, it needs to be functional, and you figured that out. That's not boring, that's wisdom. But then there's something else happening, something most people don't notice. You're managing decision fatigue. Every single decision you make during the day drains a little bit of your mental energy. It's called decision fatigue, and it's real. Research shows that the more decisions you make, the worse your decision-making becomes as the day goes on. Translation? Your brain has a decision budget. Every choice you make spends from that budget. And by the end of the day, you're broke. Your willpower depletes, your cognitive resources get exhausted. That's why you choose the path of least resistance. Not because you're lazy, because your brain is tired. This is why Barack Obama wore the same suit every day. Why Steve Jobs wore the same outfit. Why Mark Zuckerberg has a closet full of identical gray t-shirts. They weren't making a fashion statement. They were eliminating trivial decisions so they could save their mental energy for decisions that actually mattered. And you're doing the same thing, just with food. You wake up and have to decide what to wear, how to respond to emails, which tasks to prioritize, whether to attend that meeting, how to handle that conflict with your coworker. By the time lunch rolls around, you've already made dozens of decisions. And you're not about to waste mental bandwidth deciding between a salad and a sandwich. You already know. Turkey sandwich. Done. 20 seconds. Move on. Meanwhile, your coworker is still scrolling through Uber Eats, comparing ratings, trying to decide if they want sushi or Thai food. And that's 20 minutes they're not spending on work. That's 20 minutes of cognitive energy drained on a question that doesn't matter. You're not boring, you're efficient. You've automated a trivial decision so your brain can focus on the non-trivial ones. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your lunch isn't just about efficiency. It's about control. And that's deeper than people realize. Think about your workday. How much of it do you actually control? Your schedule gets dictated by other people's meetings. Your priorities shift based on someone else's urgency. Your projects get reassigned. Your deadlines move. You're constantly reacting to things outside your control. And that's exhausting. It creates a sense of instability, unpredictability, chaos. But your lunch? That you control. 12:30, turkey sandwich, every day. No matter what else is happening. The meeting can get moved, the deadline can change, the project can get canceled. But lunch? That's stable. That's predictable. That's yours. Psychologists call this a control anchor. It's a small, predictable ritual in an unpredictable environment, and it serves a psychological function. It's not about the food. It's about having one thing that doesn't change. One decision you don't have to make. One part of your day that's entirely within your control. Research on rituals and routines shows that predictable behaviors in chaotic environments reduce anxiety and increase feelings of stability. Translation? Your turkey sandwich isn't just lunch. It's a psychological anchor. It's the thing that stays the same when everything else is shifting. And that's not rigidity. That's smart emotional regulation. You're not afraid of variety. You're creating stability in a destabilizing environment. And that's where the double standard kicks in. Your coworker posts their 5 a.m. routine on Instagram. So disciplined. They meal prep chicken and rice for the week? Goals. But you eat the same turkey sandwich every day? Don't you get bored? Same behavior. Literally the same thing. Routine, repetition, consistency. But one gets celebrated and the other gets mocked. Why? Because society decided lunch should be fun and mornings should be productive. And that's completely arbitrary. Breakfast routines get articles written about them. Successful people's morning habits become best-selling books. But eating the same lunch? That's boring. That's stuck in a rut. It's the exact same optimization strategy. The only difference is which meal you applied it to. But here's what they're missing. You're not missing out. You're opting out. You're opting out of the idea that every meal needs to be an adventure. You're opting out of decision fatigue disguised as variety. You're opting out of spending mental energy on something that doesn't move the needle on your life. And that threatens people. Because if you can be perfectly content with the same turkey sandwich every day, what does that say about them spending 30 minutes trying to decide where to get lunch? It says, maybe variety isn't as important as they think. Maybe the constant search for the next new thing is exhausting, not exciting. And maybe you figured out something they haven't. That consistency isn't boring, it's freeing. Here's what they don't tell you about eating the same lunch every day. Variety isn't always better. Sometimes the same is exactly what you need. Yeah, because you're not looking for excitement in your lunch. You're looking for one thing in your day that doesn't require a decision. One anchor in the chaos. One thing that's just yours. Meetings you didn't schedule, emails you didn't ask for, problems you didn't create. But your lunch? That's yours. And the fact that it's the same every day isn't a sign that you've given up. It's a sign that you figured out what works and stopped wasting energy pretending to care about things that don't matter. You're not boring. You're clear. You found what works and stopped searching for something better. That's not settling. That's satisfaction. That's knowing the difference between decisions that deserve your attention and decisions that don't. And in a world that tells you every choice matters, every meal should be special, every moment should be optimized for peak experience, choosing the same turkey sandwich every day isn't a failure of imagination. It's a refusal to perform variety you don't need. You're not stuck in a routine, you're anchored by one. And there's a difference. So the next time someone asks, "Don't you get bored of that?" you can tell them, no. Because boredom isn't about repetition, it's about doing things you don't want to do. And you want your turkey sandwich. It works, it's reliable, and in a day full of things demanding your attention, it asks for nothing. You made one smart decision 6 months ago, and you've been reaping the benefits every single day since. That's not boring. That's one less battle to fight. And you've got plenty of others. One more thing before you go. If you're struggling with food-related stress, restrictive eating patterns, or anxiety around meals, please reach out to a healthcare professional. Your relationship with food matters more than any productivity strategy. Now tell me, team variety every day or team same thing that works? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this video made you feel seen, hit subscribe. We're here every week breaking down the psychology of work that nobody talks about. Because understanding why you are the way you are, that's not just interesting, that's powerful.